Being the only aerial weapon in Monster Hunter World, the Insect Glaive is already such a unique entry into all of the different weapons, offering unparalleled mobility, even in comparison to fantastic entries like the dual blades. This option allows hunters to be a formidable force both in the skies and on the ground. I'm Lighted Up Dan, and on this channel we cover action RPGs, roguelikes and MMOs, including loads of Monster Hunter World. I focus on producing content that helps reduce the overwhelm of the game. If you haven't caught any of the event roundup videos, that might be something that you enjoy. A massive thank you for taking us to 88% of unsubscribed viewers, as the majority of you are returning to the channel. If you enjoy the videos, do subscribe. And with that said, let's get to it. The Insect Glaive is actually a fantastic choice for beginners to the game, as on a surface level, when you boil it down, there's a few core combos which are very easy to understand. You're either pressing Y a few times or you're pressing B a few times. Pretty easy to understand. One of the core combos is repeatedly pressing Y whilst you are standing still, so you're not tilting your analog stick when you initiate the combo. This can be followed up with a strong finisher, the overhead smash, when you press B. When tilting the analog stick in a direction, you can even initiate a thrust attack with Y or a strong leaping slash with B. You'll notice when practicing that, like with many other weapons, this is very modular. You'll be able to chain various combo strings and move between one to the next, allowing for a lot of flexibility and a load of fun. So far we've been looking at the base Insect Glaive without the triple buff being active, which essentially you're going to want to always have at all times. Holding down left trigger to aim your marker, you can send off your Kinsect to go harvest extract. Number 1, red, will give you access to more powerful versions of your attacks, which is generally acquired from targeting the head or arms. Number 2, white, increases the hunter's speed and the height of your vaults. You'll mostly get these from the legs and wings. Number 3, orange, increases your defense by 5% and gives you knockback resistance whilst attacking, generally acquired from the body or the tail. Getting all three will give you a 15% attack increase and a 10% defense increase. As such, you always want the triple buff active at all times. Having 3 power prolonger on your build will allow you to stay powered up for longer. You can also charge up your Kinsect by having it consume one of your equipped slinger ammo. When you hold left trigger and you press Y and B together, it will charge up your Kinsect. By consuming monster slinger ammo, you'll increase the Kinsect's raw damage, elemental power, dust strength, Kinsect healing, and it decreases the time between the dust deposits as well. If you charge your Kinsect with field slinger ammo, it will double the Kinsect's maximum stamina, that yellow bar, and the stamina regeneration rate. It will also extend the triple buff by 50%. You'll have to gain the triple buff after gaining the charge for it to increase its duration. This will also further stack with your power prolonger. The way I like to think about it is you always want your Kinsect to be charged, and you always want all 3 of the buffs active. This, in essence, is the true Insect Glaive experience. The aerial attacks are really useful for doing a little bit of damage whilst you're also maneuvering around the monster. However, do not fall into the trap of always staying in the air. The most amount of damage you can do is with your ground combos. Once you've vaulted, you are able to do a mid-air dash, the jumping advancing slash, where if you connect the last hit you go back up in the air, the jumping slash Beyblade attack, which is fantastic for getting your mounts, and the exceptionally powerful descending thrust attack. Out of all of your aerial attacks, which you don't want to fall into the trap of doing too much, the descending thrust is actually very strong and should be a core part of your combo strings. Upon landing it, it'll do a few more attacks automatically, which you can then chain into a Y attack and follow up with the very powerful tornado slash. This is the powered up version of the overhead smash which we saw at the beginning before our Insect Glaive was powered up. Your Kinsect will leave dust behind, which when struck will cause explosions. Depending on what type of dust effect your Kinsect has, it can cause blast, poison or paralysis buildup, or provide some healing in a small radius. Given how quickly the Insect Glaive strikes, delivering multiple hits consistently, it's an excellent choice for elemental weapons. Plenty of the ground combos really do pack a punch for raw damage, so when you're adding in elemental damage on top of this, you can very quickly see how this weapon is able to rack up a tremendous amount of damage. Given that it doesn't have any shielding or countering capabilities, you are fully relying on dodging all of the attacks and damage, which, given the weapon's fantastic maneuverability and mobility, gives you every opportunity to achieve. It requires 2 clutch claw attacks in order to tenderizer part, but the actual clutch claw attack itself is very powerful. Whilst you're vaulted in midair, you can press left trigger to do the clutch claw attack, which can be a nice and quick, easy way to connect to the monster. Unlike the dual blades or the sword and shield, however, this does not make it an instant tenderizing attack. It's just a handy way to make the connection. There are plenty of excellent insect glaives that you can go for. Definitely take a look at grabbing the Guild Palace one when you're starting out, and aim for some of the really strong ones at the top end, like Furious Rajang, Frostfang Barioth, the Stygian Zinogre one's pretty cool as well. Eventually you're going to want to maybe get the Raging Brachydios one, an upgraded Alatreon one as well for big dragon damage. Take a look, there's lots of options and lots of cool things to go for. The most important thing you're doing with any weapon is to ensure you're having loads of fun with it. So first and foremost, find what works for you and have an absolute blast with it. That said, to get the most out of the Insect Glaive, do ensure that you're not always in the air messing around, as the vast majority of your damage is going to come out from your ground combos. They are exceptionally powerful. You're going to keep seeing 3-figure damage popping out constantly. It's really good. If you can work your descending thrust after you have pole vaulted into these combo strings and maximize the opportunities when the monster is downed, which you should achieve a lot because you as the Insect Glaive user are going to achieve a lot of mounts very easily. Combining that with the other windows you're going to get from wall bangs, from people getting stuns on the monster. This is a severing weapon, which means you're not going to necessarily have to be focused out on the head, especially when you've got other members in your team like hammer users or greatsword users who are going to want to really capitalize on the head damage. Some very useful skills to consider are Airborne, to increase your aerial damage, including for descending thrust, I do believe. Power Prolonger, to make sure you've got the 1-2-3 buff for longer. That doesn't affect your Kinsect charge though. Any elemental damage increases you've got depending on which weapon you're using. Mount Master, to get even easier mounts, as well as the fact that the weapon itself makes it easier too. Some fun ideas to play around with, but as always, you have a little mess around, figure out what works for you, and most importantly, see what you enjoy. Maybe you just want to stand there aiming your Insect Glaive like a gun, firing your Freedom Bug Bazooka at the monster. I mean, you'd be completely mental, but if that's what you want to do, who am I to stop you? The Kinsect Police? I don't bloody think so. Are you an Insect Glaive user yourself already, or is it something that you've wanted to check out? Do you have any additional tips that I've not mentioned here? Do let us know in the comments so we can all learn from each other. I'd love to hear from you. As mentioned at the start, we've gotten to 88% of unsubscribed viewers. If you enjoyed the video, do subscribe and hop into the Discord if you want to grab some hunts with myself and others. That and my other links are in the description. But until next time, I'll see you in the new world.